are gratified with the jury's verdict, and we very much respect how they concluded.
And that is U.S. Attorney Carmen Ortiz and Boston FBI Special Agent in charge Vincent Lisi, also talking about the decision to pursue the death penalty in this case, also talking about the upcoming sentencing hearing and the appellate process. Let's go now live to the only local reporter in the courtroom for the entire penalty phase, Adam Bagney. Adam?
Well, Dan and Patrice, I have to tell you that what a scene it was when this sentence was announced, a pressure-filled moment in the courtroom. Stunning silence throughout, before, during, and after, as it was announced that Dzhokhar Tsarnaev will be sentenced to death. Tsarnaev, a couple of particular portions of this sentence that really deserve note. He was convicted, or he was sentenced to death on 6 of the 17 counts, all of them relating to pressure cooker bomb number 2. That's the bomb that he placed in a backpack on the ground right next to Martin Richard, the 8-year-old, and Ling Zilu, the Chinese student from Boston University. Placed it down there, and those were the reasons that he was sentenced to death on specifically those counts. Interestingly, he wasn't sentenced to death on other counts, many of them, 11 of them in fact, as it relates to Crystal Campbell and Sean Collier, the MIT police officer that died, and the other victim of the marathon bombing. He was convicted of those crimes, but not sentenced to death as it relates to them. Here's the breakdown. Use of a weapon of mass destruction, 3 counts of possession of a firearm during a crime of violence, bombing of a public place, of public use, and malicious destruction of property by means of an explosive device. I think one of the most interesting things about this verdict is what we gained from the mitigating factors. This was the 24-page verdict form that jurors had to go through. They deliberated for 14 and a half hours, roughly around that area, and the mitigating factors were Section 5 that weren't required for jurors to weren't required for them to consider, but things that they could consider if they wished. One of them, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, acted under the influence of his older brother. Just 3 jurors agreed with that, meaning that jurors, for the most part, did not buy the defense's argument that Tamerlan Tsarnaev was the mastermind and led this plan, and that Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was essentially just along for the ride. 2 other quick notes. Whether Dzhokhar was particularly susceptible to his older brother's influence. Again, just 3 jurors agreed with that. Dzhokhar Tsarnaev's brother planned, led, and directed the marathon bombing. Again, just 3 of the 12 jurors agreed with that, meaning that the vast majority of them did not go along with the defense's assertion. Again, the press conferences are going on now right behind us at the courthouse. We'll be gathering all of the sound and information that's passed along to us from the prosecution, from the defense, from victims' families, and we'll be bringing that to you in our later broadcast. For now, we're live in Boston. I'm Adam Bagney, NBC 10 News.
Adam, we know this story is breaking as we're on the air right now. This is Dan and Patrice back here at the studio. You were in the courtroom when this long verdict was read. At the point that you realized, and the courtroom realized, that he did get the death penalty, describe what that was like inside the courtroom for those moments.
It was the most tension-filled moment of my life, and I was completely not involved in. That's what it boils down to. And the interesting part of this is the marshals and the judge really prepared everybody that was in the courtroom, the media, the defendant, the lawyers, the jury, the public, the survivors, the victims' families, prepared them for this moment, said if there was any outburst, you could potentially have a contempt of court. So that courtroom was very, very controlled. And when it was announced, just a stunning and absolute silence, as it was before, during, and after, even as everyone filed out after it was announced. It was a pretty surreal scene and something as a reporter that I certainly won't forget for a very, very long time.